It's an emerging presence, is potentiality emerging as presence. It is so alive. And this is where every discovery that comes in, it actually comes in from the space of emergence, something where we've never been before. And it's an invitation for us to live our true potential. It's so expansive. It's so embracing. It's all encompassing. It's so loving. It's so giving that we don't feel small. We feel like we are part of something much grander, much, much grander. And this is what is most fulfilling. This is where all our unmet needs, they're met.
Hi, welcome to the show. My name is Carlos Hoyos, the host of the Elite Leader podcast, and I had life-transforming conversation with Neerja Bhatia. I doubt that you are going to watch this episode and be the same. You're going to change the perspective on how you see yourself and how you see leadership. Neerja is a conscious leadership coach, facilitator, author, and creator of the Field of Living Intelligence framework. She's a compassionate guide and a visionary thinker with over 25 years of experience inspiring transformative growth in leaders from startups to Fortune 500 companies. She has worked with leaders and teams at organizations such as Red Hat, McKinsey, Meta, and Phillips. Neerja is the creator of the Field of Living Intelligence framework, a heartfelt methodology rooted in consciousness studies, Eastern wisdom, and authentic leadership that awakens the true self hidden beneath layers of noise and expectation. In a world filled with relentless pressure, Neerja reminds us that clarity isn't something to be hunted down, it's something we carry within, waiting to be remembered. Her work detailed in her books Art of Resilience and Bliss is in Knowing the Self invites leaders and change makers to listen inward, trust their innate wisdom, and return to the stillness where authentic guidance resides. Through coaching, facilitation, and her writing, Neerja encourages a gentle shift from striving and controlling to trusting and remembering the inner journey that leads to true clarity, wisdom, courage, and love. Check this interview that is outstanding. Who is Neerja Bhatia by Neerja herself. Welcome.
Thank you. Such an honor. And Carlos, thank you for the invitation. Lovely to be here in this space with you.
You're so peaceful. This already changed the space, already changed the energy. Before we started actually recording, we had a little bit of a glitch on the setup, and you bring your kindness and the warmth and the inner peace here. So thank you so much for doing this. So let's get started on how this is, how that came to fruition, that interesting content. You position yourself as conscious leadership coach. What is that? Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah. So there is this level of my own experience that I bring into consciousness as a leader. As I was growing up in India, before people started to put labels on me, before I started to get into this identity of who Neerja is, there was this expansion. There was this level of beautiful connection with all that is, that level of consciousness that I felt invincible. I felt like, wow, there's beauty, there's magic, there's so much in life that I could be holding a flower and I could actually imagine it turning into a star. That was the level of potentiality and possibility and joy I used to hold up until the age of 6, maybe, where all these labels started to come on, absent-minded, forgetful, because I loved being in the zone. And the mundane tasks of the world would just bring me down. And then, of course, all these labels were coming from figures of authority. So I started to believe in it. and started to carry that identity of what I was expected to be. And that is way too small. It's a very small idea of what human beings are or who they are. And that tension between this expansive magnificence of being a human and this tightness that is in a box, an identity, that contradiction was carrying on in my life with everything that I did, whether, I was a manager, director, leader, coach, parent, daughter-in-law, name it, wife, everything. And it taught me so much because whenever I was in the identity, it felt like a contraction. And when I was in this expansiveness, of course, it felt very, it felt beautiful. It felt like I was in the zone, in the flow. And I started to think like, how do I bring more of this into my life? And how do I bring more of this into my client's life? And then, Carlos, I realized that it's not something we bring. It is something we are, and we've forgotten who we are, and we're living a lie.
Wow. And why do we forget who we are?
There are a couple of things. First of all, there is so much fear that we are inundated with the concept of who you should be. So we're turned into these machines in a way. You know what? You're going to grow up to be a mother. You're going to grow up to be an executive. You're going to grow up to be a scientist, a doctor. That in itself is stifling and a label. So what's happening is we're living into the expectations of the society, the culture, the system that we're in. And we forget the nature that we are born with because we are made up of the same atoms that this universe, the world or the earth is made up of. And if it's the same atom, it carries the same intelligence that we do. But we are made to forget this living intelligence and believe in the non-living mechanical intelligence that we learn about in schools. We don't learn anything alive in school. We're learning from books that have been written. It's prehistoric data, and we're believing in that, and we are asked to continue to relive that. It's almost like relying on the habit of being a human versus what's alive, what's coming in us.
The habit of being a human being. That's so powerful. That's an interesting way of thinking. And out of the habits, you have a very interesting presentation that went to TEDx. Would you be able to talk a little bit about it? I'm super curious about this.
Yeah, yeah. So it's all about the society has been created to make us forget who we are. And our only job is to remember. And when we are in the remembering of who we are, we become powerful. We become because see, the thing is, we are so relying on this lie that we're living that our happiness is going to come from a title or the reinforcement of my identity. It's going to come from when I get that job, when I get that title, but we forget that we achieve things and results from this magnificence of who we are, this intelligence that provides the vision, that provides the know-how, that has this rhythm and flow to it. And we are the ones achieving it. It's the process of achieving, not the end result of achievement. Because what we create comes and goes. It can be destroyed. But what creates us is inside of us. We are not focusing on that power, but we are focusing on the results. So the TED Talk was really about the reminder of who we truly are, remembering that and not believing into a lie of the small idea of self. That's what triggers us. That's where we get upset and those emotions, the amygdala gets hijacked. That's what really creates the fear in us because it's just stifling living into that reality that we've created for ourselves.
Just wondering, you do a lot of work with corporate empowerment. How is this being received in North America and Europe? Because the way you see, we're still evolving as civilization, and the eastern side of the globe has already matured in terms of spirituality, conscious living, self awareness. And I think we're still catching up on the West side. So, in your personal experience, what are the major challenges to accepting this reality so people can actually adopt this in their daily lives and still meet goals and develop successful businesses?
Beautiful question, Carlos, and thank you for asking that. So, in today's Western world, the challenge is called imposter syndrome. So, either the ego is exaggerated or not,
Right,
one of those things. So that's what we're facing, and all the tools that are there. Like Einstein says, you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created it. And I think a lot of tools are just that. And so this problem of imposter syndrome is not new. The ancient sages call it Maya, the greatest illusion of who we are.
right.
And of course, the Greek mythologists, I mean, they call it know thyself to thine own self be true. So, how is that working to your question? While I find that here in the West, there isn't a whole great level of openness to spirituality or embracing spirituality or understanding consciousness, what I am really getting a kick out of, it's almost like this sense when I am holding the field of living intelligence and I'm present with the clients, with the groups that I'm facilitating, there is this emergence of consciousness that's happening there without an understanding of it, because you cannot understand it. But it's what's taking over, and the conversations are so beautiful and deep. The insights are wonderful. The words may be different, but the intention of holding that space and being present and really truly seeing everyone in the room or the person that I'm coaching with that potentiality of expanded consciousness. And here's the truth. We've all experienced it, whether we're in the West or not, what we call the being in the flow, being in the zone. So
Right.
everybody understands that language when they lose that sense of time. What is that? So we just become curious together. And the basic human need, after, of course, getting their food and shelter, is to be heard, seen, and being valued. And this is the level of presence when we bring that in. When we really are holding that space, people are being seen, heard, and valued like never before. There's no judgment in the room. And there is a beautiful quote, as we coaches learn it, that you cannot coach and judge at the same time. But I
That's
would
right.
like to take it further. You cannot lead and judge at the same time. You cannot facilitate and judge at the same time. You cannot even be in a relationship and judge at the same time. So if we were to take it, and when there is that non-judgment, just discernment, pure discernment, we are playing in that field of living intelligence and consciousness. And we don't even have to have a word for it. It doesn't have to be even called spirituality, because it's just being. It's just being in that space with all that is.
That's very profound. I'm getting to highly self-reflection mode now, but I still need to continue this interview in some way. So let me grab whatever I have present right now. I'm just sharing it. It's just interesting. I don't know the proper words of using it for this, but kind of in a vibration when we start attracting people, they're more in our vibe or in same synchronicity or in the same level of frequency. And lately, I've been talking to people that are just connected with this becoming self-aware and going beyond the self and realize that self is illusion, like the Maya or like the Tolteca speak of the common dream, the individual dream, and the shared dream. How do you go about helping people that are really stuck in this mind-centered ego or ego-driven mind and just forget about themselves?
Yeah, Carlos, it's such a profound question. And the answer is so simple by me doing the practice.
Mm.
by me being true to living. Of course, I used to believe that I'll arrive to this level of expanded consciousness, but there is no arrival. If that's who I am, there is no place to arrive. And that's the practice. Not that I don't get triggered or I don't trip, but it's noticing and just remembering. It's in the remembering. And I have to be so consciously aware that I am not forgetting who I am when I'm with my clients. And in that space, what happens is they're talking about their challenge and they're resolving their challenge in the moment because that container is creating that psychological safety for them. And in that psychological safety, the insights come in and they transform their thinking. They transcend their thinking is probably the right word. And they walk away feeling empowered. So it's really, as a coach, as a facilitator, it's my work. And when I do my work, and it's not even my work, it's the collective, I'm doing it for everyone. And when I get triggered, I am part of the system. So it's holding that level of compassion for myself as I give to my clients. That, oh, okay, this is something that I'm noticing a reality, but it's not real. I'm noticing, I'm experiencing something, but the truth is, I am that field of living intelligence. I am that expanded consciousness. And there is a beautiful tool that Otto Scharmer has created. It's called Theory U. I don't know. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it, Carlos.
I'm not specifically familiar, but I heard of it. I have read something about it, but I'm not super in touch with it. So enlighten us.
Well, so Carl, I this is something that I bring to my clients quite a bit. I love his work, and it's you're crossing the chasm, but you don't know. In the theory, you just imagine it's a big U. You're trying to cross the chasm, but you don't have the right understanding or the know-how on how to cross it. The only way to cross it is by going down to the nothingness, to the 0 point, to the quietness of the U, right at the bottom. And the way to get down to the bottom is by challenging our thinking. And in that challenge, in that disrupting our thinking, we are actually overcoming our identity by letting go of the voice of judgment, voice of cynicism, and voice of fear. So when we let go of that and come to that place where the mind is not at the driver's seat, you're orchestrating your thinking by challenging and letting go of that judgment, letting go of any cynicism or fear of the unknown that is arising. And in that nothingness arises, it just arises is a new way of thinking. A new answer will come, a new insight will arise. And that's how you come to the other side of the chasm. So any challenge that we are experiencing, any problem or anything, just go down the U. Let go of the judgment. Let go of the cynicism. Let go of the fear. When you let go of it with compassion for yourself and come to that place of nothingness, trust that you will receive the right information, because it's not the brain that's going to give you the right information. It's going to be the resonance that comes from that alignment of your brain, of your heart, of your will, and your spirit, which will take you to the other side.
Wow. I was just pondering with what you're saying. One thing is there's a different language to communicate that internally and externally. That's one thing I notice with experts such as yourself when talk about this. They use a different language, different quality of language and words. The second thing is that we slow down this process. The mind is so crazy, it's like, jumping from branch to branch like a crazy monkey everywhere, right? And we slow down and then we can hold the space for that thing happen. And third thing is like you said before, is a journey. It's not going to end. It's intention to have this as a life project. I don't know. These are the things that are become present to me. What else you would add to that?
Yeah, it's that intentionality to not buy into the monkey mind. It's that intentionality that, wow, there's more. There's more to me than what the mind is leading me to believe in the moment. And so, I mean, I want to bring it into a pragmatic way of understanding this. So let's say you're in a meeting, and I'm going to give you an example, my own example.
Sure.
So I was running a 5-day virtual session, Carlos, and this 5-day session was for managers. And this was like the leading edge of being a manager and leading people. Um, in the first half an hour, I noticed that out of the 20 leaders who were present in this virtual reality, everyone with their camera on, one of the leaders kept rolling his eyes. And here I am, of course, my monkey mind. What is it saying? Neerja, what are you saying? What are you doing to offend this leader who keeps rolling his eyes? And so, anyways, I was getting distracted, I'll be honest, Carlos. And the idea of my small self that, oops, I'm making a mistake, I'm doing something wrong, kept getting louder and louder and louder. So in that moment, what do? I take a breath and I challenge my mind. Now remember that theory, I'm challenging my own thinking. What else is possible? If I was to not judge myself right now or get cynical about this leader, I mean, if he's just here to roll his eyes, he may as well go find something else to do or be afraid. How can I let go of my fear? And I actually paused and I said, well, there's something happening here. And I just want to call it what it is. And I want to become curious as to where that's coming from. And I said to him, I said, hey, Jim, I'm noticing that every time I say something, you roll your eyes. And it leads me to believe I'm saying something to offend you. Can you help me understand what's going on? I'd love to know what's going on. And he said, Neerja, he got nervous about it, of course. And he goes, Neerja, there's a
I
cat.
imagine.
Yeah. And he said, Neerja, there's a cat upstairs. I live in an apartment building. Every time it runs, it drives me crazy because it's scratching the floor. I'm not rolling my eyes. I'm just looking up with frustration.
In other words, there's nothing to do with the presentation. Fascinating example. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, I do too. I love that example. I mean, all these things, they become food for reality. Yeah, to share later.
Would you be so kind to go a little bit deeper in terms of what is beyond the identity and self, perhaps essence? I mean, what when we get into the point that, okay, we're going back to uncover who we really are or remembering who we are before we start believing on titles and tags and lies. What is that thing? I mean, what is the human being in essence?
Yeah.
When you take off all the definitions, all the labels, all the tags, all the roles, identities, what is the essence?
It's an emerging presence, is potentiality emerging as presence. It is so alive. And this is where every discovery that comes in, it actually comes in from the space of emergence, something where we've never been before. And it's an invitation for us to live our true potential. It's so expansive. It's so embracing. It's all encompassing. It's so loving. It's so giving that we don't feel small. We feel like we are part of something much grander, much, much grander. And this is what is most fulfilling. This is where all our unmet needs, they're met. It's like you feel like, wow, I don't know if everybody could relate to it. It's that commercial of V8. Oh, I could have had a V8 moment. Why don't I drink from this? Why do I go back to drinking from the habit versus having a moment that makes me fully come to life? And that presence is joyful, ecstatic. It's the motivation, it's the fuel that takes human beings to a place that they have not been.
And how do we shed these layers off? Or how would we peel this off? Because it seems that we are like buried on so many floors of dirt or pretending. I know it's a practice, it's a lifelong project, and it's how we cross the you. We have to go deeper. I think part of the question is I'm still understanding or trying to understand or reflecting upon on the fact that how do you know you got there, or at least you moved down a few levels, or just let things fly away, or let go. I actually recently asked this question in a mastermind. It was a completely unexpected mastermind because it was like communication, influence, nothing to do with what we were talking, but ended up being this, like, what is the maxim, sell what they want, deliver what they need, something like that, right? And it came up to this,
Yeah.
right? We're pretending, we're living out the habits of pretending being human beings, and there are always these layers. So the way I feel in my personal experience on my own journey on uncovering who I am, or at least understanding what I am not. It's not just like a single you. It's like you have a small you, then there's a bigger you, it's a bigger you, and you're like infinite yous inside of yous. You know what I mean? It's just like it gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does this make sense? Is that how you approach, or how do you approach, or what are your thoughts on this?
So, Carlos, thank you for asking. Here's the thing, the how. The question how is a question that arises from the mind.
Yeah, of course.
The monkey mind is
You
what.
got me.
Yes. How do I do this? There is no how. It just is or it is not, Carlos. I'm either being all my presence or I'm not. And Einstein puts it beautifully. Live as though everything is a miracle or nothing is a miracle. So when nothing is a miracle, that's where the monkey mind starts to, go in, well, how do I do it? And please don't get me wrong. I go into the how too when I'm totally frustrated, like, how do I get out of it? Well, stop thinking. Drop that thought. It's like holding a hot potato. I think it was Buddha who said that, when you're angry, you're holding the hot potato and or hot coal. I think he said that
Yeah,
burning
I got it.
yourself. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with this monkey mind, you're hurting yourself. You're limiting yourself. You're living into the small idea of who you think you are and forgetting to enjoy the beauty and the magnificence of being human.
For someone that is listening to us now on the video audio format, what is the one, perhaps the initial shift they could make, go back on the track, or remember to remember?
Yeah, I love that, Carlos. The message that I have for the listeners, the viewers, is that go back to remembering when you felt being in the flow, being in the zone, when you had that aha moment, when you had those beautiful new emerging ideas, when you felt larger than life itself. Because I promise you one thing, we've all experienced it. We may not have known what it is, but that's what we are truly after. We're not after the title. Yes, the title will make us feel good for the moment, but you know what will make you successful in the in that role? It's not the end result. It is being and recognizing and remembering who you are. So when we forget, just take a breath, pause, and just remember. And in that pause, the pause alone is not enough. Challenge your thinking. Ask yourself the question, what else is possible that I'm not seeing in this moment?
Like, I did a collab on Instagram, and a person that I was introduced to with a common friend, and he spent like some time going back and forth from India. Last time he was like 10 months on India, completely changed his life. And it was something like his master said, go back to Brazil and teach people mindfulness at a deeper level. Something like that. Kind of went back and forth, understanding what does that mean in practice. And he did like an induction, like guided meditation. And there was a very powerful question, like a tactics. And it was something like that. What does the life in you needs next? Or I'm not properly translating this, but the thing is, what is the actual life in you, not your body, not your emotions, not your willings, your wishes and desires. It's the life or the awareness. We could use different words, but what is the next step? What is really required now from the life, from this life's perspective? And I know that the questions are different from what you're posing here, but to me, they collaborate, because one way it comes from the actual next step. And I realized that when I start practicing this, it's just so little that we actually have to have at any given point. I mean, okay, I need to shower. Okay, I need to eat. I need to sleep. And everything else is just like ego and stuff and mind. And when you talk about possibilities, it's just like going one step further. It's just like, okay, I have all the needs that are actually met. So what is possible now? Not like a desire, but it's open to new possibilities. I'm feeling so blessed this week having these two gifts and integrating them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
That
don't even know how to continue this today. This is amazing. This is so reflection oriented. It's just interesting. I have done so many different interviews, and lately, or more recently, it's more feeling, sensing, and being than actually talking.
you've summarized it so profoundly, Carlos, because the question that I generally ask myself is, what is alive in me right now? What is alive in me right now? And in that aliveness, it's that effortless effort. I used to prepare and do things in a way that was hard on my body, hard on my, my psyche. It was hard on my emotions. And Carlos, I spent zero time preparing for this interview, just trusting. And of course, technology failed, but we were still able to rise above it.
We did. We
We did.
did.
We did. And so, how can we get people to really just show up fully aware, fully conscious, and fully alive and let things emerge? Let things emerge. And I'm not saying don't do any planning at all, but don't push yourself hard. Get into that zone, get into that effortless flow, and let the doing emerge from your being.
I've been experimenting the last few years. I don't know if the word is experiment, but I'm actually living it more by gratitude and cleaning emotions, in the sense that I'm just focusing on positive emotions, gratitude, um, awareness, peace, unconditional loving, and visualizing positive outcomes, great relationships, abundance. And I've been experiencing pretty good times. Of course, we're in human form. There's always diseases, death, negativity. Even so, in general terms, I feel I'm much more lighted. It's a light version of the life. It's not heavy. And the challenges are not different, but it's a different point of view, or just different vision of the world. So back to you, what is the function, or what is the place of gratitude or positive emotions in the work that you do? 'Cause to me, they are related.
Absolutely. So gratitude is the easiest way to living intelligence, easiest way. And it's not just gratitude as a habit, or habit meaning like it's not just like a practice because I'm just saying it, but
Right.
feeling it, sensing it, like being in awe, being in wonderment of that gratitude. And in that wonderment, something shifts. It's like if I may call it grace of consciousness, grace of the living intelligence. You recognize that's who you are. And so, yes, there is a big connection in that. And again, it's, when I try to just practice gratitude for the sake of practicing it, it doesn't work. I really have to honor it and feel that wonderment in. And what's coming to me to share with you right now is that, like you, there is a lot of lightness. There is a lot of, like, with this practice, and there you feel very blessed, even though there are challenges are the same, but there is less ajada about it. And at the same time, there are still some people who know how to trigger you, or those triggers are so strong that you just get, whoa, you get pulled right into it. And the gratitude goes out the window, Carlos. It's like all your focus and attention goes to, wow, that was not a very nice moment. All this work I've been doing, what for? Why did I get
Yeah.
triggered, you know? And remembering that experience and that feeling is taking your connection with who you are much deeper. It's so required because if it was just all wonderful and all light, we would get so comfortable in it that we won't stretch ourselves beyond where we've been, beyond what we know.
That's so beautiful. If you had the last billboard on earth, the last message anybody could send to every living soul, 8 point something billion people, what would be that message? What is the thing that you want to live in people's hearts the most?
There's only one message I have, and that is to relate to yourself and each other from this place of presence, not from the place of the small idea. So, Carlos is not a name and a label. I'm not relating to Carlos with his titles, or I'm relating to Carlos as a presence. I'm relating to myself as a presence instead of, Neerja's done this, done that, or has failed at this. So all the labels go beyond the labels. The invitation is go to the presence because that's where the wisdom, that's where the nuggets, that's where you'll find the real gold is when you connect to each other's presence and your own presence.
How people can get in contact with you? For those that are just listening, of course, they have links for them, but at least, for the more auditory kind of person, what's the best way to get in contact with you, Nirja?
Yeah, so I have my information on my website, neerjabhatia.com, and also on LinkedIn. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. And, you know, I would love to hear from people around the world and ask any questions.
Excellent. So get in contact with Nirja. She has so much to share with you. I'm learning so much in this process. I'm typically not the person that get quiet with no words, just being impactful. So my question for you is, at least from my experience, it takes a while to get into a point where, of course, like you said before, we're not, transcendental monks living in modern lives. We still get, triggered. But typically, we pass through some interesting challenges. We underwent a lot to actually get to the point when, it just that doesn't matter. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. So is any particular experience or maybe something recent that was like a life lesson for you that you would be willing to share with us, with the audience, that could be like an inspiration and say, you know what, I can do that as well.
Boy, which one should I pick right now is the question, Carlos. There's so many of these experiences, so many of these experiences. um, that I've had. I think the biggest one that I can share right now is with the labels, the not enough labels comes the story, the story. And as long as I am identifying with that story, things around me will remind me of those limitations in me. And I just want to share something very, very personal about my relationship with my mother-in-law, who's, no longer in this earthly plane, let me put it that way. And she was probably my best teacher because she didn't accept me for the longest time. And it wasn't about things will get better. It was more about dealing with it moment to moment. Do I go into the fear? Do I judge myself, her? Do I become cynical about myself and her? Or do I feel the fear of every time she came to visit? And it was not easy. It was definitely not easy. And she did not accept me, embrace me, but I also did not accept and embrace myself. How could I have her accept and embrace me? So, how she was my teacher was every time she triggered me, she was pushing me to love and embrace myself. So, what a gift.
Yeah.
What a gift.
It was interesting because I learned this expression probably 16 years ago, that our best masters are the people that triggered us. Kind of just such a good remembrance that you're bringing me. Thank you for this as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking.
This has been spectacular. I probably need to walk a little bit here in the condo area just to relax and process that information. I feel so blessed to be able to receive this information firsthand. Thank you
Well,
very much for this.
no, Carlos, I want to say thank you to you. And I think I would love to take the credit for this, but I can't. It's the presence between you and me that's ignited the space. And I love that you've created that psychological safety for me to just be me and be able to share without holding anything back. So kudos to you for what you're doing, Carlos. Keep doing this, keep sharing. The world needs this so much. And I do want to say one thing, that we are asking our leaders to create psychological safety, but I truly think that unless they feel psychologically safe inside, they can't create it for others. And you, Carlos, really model that and represent that. So thank you for creating that psychological safety for me to be able to just be me with you.
You
Thank you.